How I realized and went beyond social anxiety was to realize something deeper within myself, which was, well, before we go into that, let's look into the facts of how that comes about. We have these titles that we give each other here, where it's the person on top, and there's the person in the middle, and there's the person on the bottom. Ever since we're a child, we identify each other as that. He's better than me. I'm better than them. I'm not that good. I'm worse than them. So from a very young age, we learned that people are better, people are worse. There's no neutrality where everyone is just everyone. Um, and upon going through life like that, from a very tender age of, let's say, where you start to notice these things, is probably 6, 5, 6, 7, 8, definitely preteen, teenager. So even then, standing in front of people in the sixth grade and having to speak to everyone, and that person that you think highly of is there, and that person that you think lower of is there. Which one would you feel more comfortable speaking to? Excuse me. Usually, the person you think lower of. Why? Because, like we said, there's no neutrality. There's no deep realization that the consciousness that I am is the consciousness of this person, the lower person. The consciousness that I am is the consciousness of this person, higher person. So, in that way, you don't feel social anxiety when you have to speak in front of them or have to speak to them at all. And how I went beyond that social anxiety situation was to have that deep realization within myself. I learned to step out of thinking, which is, how do you do that? Step out of thinking by shifting your attention from your thought simply over to your breathing. If you did that with me for a few seconds, you'll notice, if we do it longer, it's better, but you'd notice that you don't need to think. You don't need to think about their status. You don't need to think about what they think about you. Because people think they think, but no, thoughts come to you. So instead of saying, I think, I usually say, the thought came to me that, so on and so on. Because if you think, this is an interesting one, don't try to follow along with this, but if you think what someone else they think matters, it's insane. It'll bring about that social anxiety feeling. You won't feel comfortable around certain people. And yes, it takes courage to go beyond this situation, this realization that we're talking about. It takes courage to actually do it for yourself, where you, okay, say you know a person like I'm talking about, you know a person like that where you feel kind of uncomfortable speaking with. Actually speak with the person from presence. Speak with the person from a deeper sense of awareness, where you recognize that the title is just something made up. They are you as consciousness in a different form. Then you'll see that anxiety trickle down. Excuse me, may not completely go away the first time you do it with the person. They don't even need to know. You just say you have to have a conversation with the person, and usually you feel fine. That's okay. Feel that, recognize that, step back into awareness, breathing. And while you're speaking to the person, if they're a little aggressive, because most people that you're timid to speak with or we're timid to speak with usually are on the more aggressive side. They're like dominating. So that brings about the social anxiety with them as well. But that's okay. You start speaking to them, they kind of start even talking over you as if they already know what you're going to say. That's fine. Allow a second or two for them to say that. And after they finish saying what they had to say, allow a second. Don't immediately respond, because in that situation, you give that aggressiveness the power. It seems that the mind will feed on that aggressiveness. Um, in that situation with them, that they'll seem that okay, they don't think this to themselves. It's an unconscious thing, but if I can get them to respond to my aggressiveness, then I'm in control. It's almost like so. They say what they have to say. Don't make it too long. Add a second or two after they stop speaking, just of presence, and then start back speaking to them. And try this in all situations where you feel, oh, I don't want to. Kids have it very early. They start to have it if they're not raised consciously. I don't want to. Oh, I got to speak in front of them. So, oh, um, you don't have to have that if you learn to recognize the person as yourself in a different form, because that's basically what it is. That's ultimately the truth of what it is, because what underlies the form of that person, consciousness, of course. What underlies yourself, consciousness, conscious awareness, presence. So ultimately, you're talking to yourself. And if you can recognize that deeply, the social anxiety goes away and you're able to talk to people, even be extremely enthusiastic and partake in the personality world of things with the person and the situations. Because how I went beyond my social anxiety was to learn to be with the person and not think of the person. By being with the person, there was even a more deeper connection where if they were that aggressiveness and had that aggressive nature about themselves, me just being there with them, because most people who have that aggressive nature within themselves seems to need need attention, need authority. And by me being there with them and not thinking of them, it allowed them to be. And internally, they may not say it, but internally, they like that. So if you can be with the situation, you can be with the person, even if you never met the person, it's a quick interaction, whatever it may be, you can still add beingness to it. And then there's no higher or lower. There's just beingness. Neutrality. Social anxiety dissipates. Thank you for joining me.